Good morning to those of you out there on the West Coast. Good afternoon to you on the East Coast with me. I'm excited. Today's a nice day. I always like it when it's a nice day and I'm doing training. I got to tell you, I can't remember the last time I had a training day, and I've been doing this since March 2022. So we're almost at 400 training videos in a row. And I can't remember the last time I turned and looked out the window and went, oh, it's a horrible day kind of thing. So we all must be lucky that it gets nice weather right when I'm doing the training. Before we get started, I like to just start off with a quick tip of the day. Let me turn off some of this stuff I got running on my screen. I like to start off with a quick tip of the day. And for a while, I think I'm going to be trying quotes because I like this idea of quotes. It allows me to weave my tip into a quote that somebody else said. And so the quote I want to share with you this morning or today, right, is the competitor to be feared is one who never bothers about you at all, but goes on making his own business better all the time. Henry Ford said this, right? The competitor to be feared is the one who never even bothers thinking about you at all, but goes on making his own business better all the time. This really jived with me when I heard it a long time ago, because it's been something I've taught businesses for years. I mean, decades, actually, because I used to talk to my friends who had their own businesses, and we would hear people say, oh, you need to do competitive analysis, or who's your competitors? You need to know all your competitors. And I have always said, no, you don't. You don't need to know your competitors. In sales, I don't really care who my competitors are. What I say is, I'm my own worst competitor. I need to compete against me. I need to make sure I'm doing everything I can to improve my business. Am I writing the right amount of proposals? Am I writing winning proposals? Am I only going after slam dunk opportunities? And I can go back through the process in a sales life cycle. But so many of us are worried about that competitor out there, rather than just looking at ourselves and say, we're going to be better today than we were yesterday. I don't care about that company yesterday even. I'm just going to be better than that one. And so as we go into the day, just kind of think about this as you're planning your own activities around there. The competitor to be feared is the one that never even is thinking about you, but they're focusing on their own business. When you keep that in mind, you're going to make sure you're one of those people who focus on your own business. That was just a quick tip as a way to say thank you for those of you showing up early and on time. Today's LinkedIn. I'm actually super excited about it. So I decided to get rid of the chair and just stand for the whole training, which is no big deal, since theoretically that's how training is done, right? We're going to dive into LinkedIn. So let me just share my screen, get off to the races here. Okay, you should be able to see my screen. I'm going to be bouncing back and forth. I'm going to go back and forth on a lot of different things today, because I want to take most of the time and go into LinkedIn and practically show you what I'm teaching. I don't want to just teach it conceptually. If I can, I'm going to try to look back at the chat. I don't know if this is going to work, actually. But I was going to say, let me know if you want me to look at your profile, and I'll probably talk more about that in a minute. But today's class is about using LinkedIn for government contractors, and I said also agency employees. In particular, I'm talking about the agency employers that are the buyer, or employees that are the buyer side, right? There's the program office and the small business shop, the contracting shop. Those guys can absolutely be using LinkedIn as a way to communicate with industry. And then also I want to be talking about how government contractors can communicate out there. Often I hear people talking about, I got a great product or a service. If I could just meet the buyer, they'd love what I'm selling and they'd buy it from me, right? And besides the fact that's a little bit optimistic, let's celebrate the optimism. But the reality is, if you're not meeting them, then you're just constantly waiting for this buyer to show up. And that's not going to happen. You have to somehow make it easy. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But when I talk about LinkedIn for government contractors or for agencies, this is social selling, right? Social media. LinkedIn is one of the social media platforms. And so when we say social selling, fundamentally, we're saying being on social media platforms. Like LinkedIn is the only one I recommend for us. But it's vital for your success, because we've always had selling. I've been selling for decades, and I've gone through many different ways. I've sold vacuum cleaners door to door, where I walk up with my product to the door. I have sales meetings in the living room with somebody. I show them how dirty their carpet is, right? And then I try to sell them a $2,000 vacuum. I've done that. I've done billion-dollar sales where we go in and we're having conversations for months and months and over a year, having conversations. And the selling that we're doing, solution selling is what we used to call it a lot. It's this idea of just having conversations around the need the customer has, right? Understanding the need more, helping them understand the need and the impact of the problems they might be facing. and then weaving in the potential of our solutions and products. Well, social selling is just kind of that same thing. How are you exploring the challenges and problems and the goals your buyers have, and how are you beginning to introduce them to solutioning? LinkedIn is an enabler to that activity that you're doing, that social selling. I put here that people buy from those they know, like, and trust, and we'll talk about that more in a minute. But when you're on LinkedIn as a government contractor, you're going to be able to help teammates and federal buyers begin to know you and like and trust you as a subject matter expert. And it's the same thing for agencies, right? If you want more market participation from industry, help industry know, like, and trust you. But trust could be that when we respond to sources sought, as an example, you're letting us know that, hey, we did shift this to small business. So in today's training, I'm going to try to cruise pretty fast. I'm going to spend the bulk of my time actually in LinkedIn, showing you really what I'm trying to teach you. But 3 things I wanted to cover down. One is just why you should be using LinkedIn on a daily basis, just a refresher, looking at it from just a couple of angles. Second thing I just want to point out, and then I will show you, are 5 tasks that you should do today to improve your profile. Not you should do over the next 30 days, etc. You should stop everything and say, you know what else am I doing? Let me delay all my meetings and do these 5 tasks that Neil just said. You literally can do it right after this training. And then the last thing I want to cover down, and I want to go into LinkedIn and show you how people view you and judge you using LinkedIn. This is why I'm teaching about LinkedIn, because whether you're active in there, whether you've done anything with your profile or you've done a lot like I have, we're both being judged, right? And it's important that you understand, how do people view you and judge you. So that's what we're going to cover down on. If you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonald. I'm the president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce. I want to welcome you to my federal sales training, where I provide tips for success in the federal market. I spent 20 years in the federal market as a small business owner, and since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting is not a secret, it's just a process. When we follow a process A to Z, we're going to have repeatable, predictable results, and that's what I want for you. Put your company name into the chat, put your core competency, 2 or 3 words, keywords that let us know what you sell, right? Help buyers remember who you are. Federal buyers come into my trainings. Some of them come in and actually engage in the chat. They might even be doing so today. Others come in and just watch it, right? Thousands of people watch the training that I do. If you put your company name in and they're watching and then they see the comments, that's marketing, right? That's free marketing. You didn't have to pay somebody to get that visibility. So that's why you want to put it in. And then you want to engage, especially today. Let people know if you're open to connecting on LinkedIn. Put that into the chat. Engage with the other people here. This is your community. I'm here to do training, but I'm just an enabler and a builder of your community. The last thing I wanted to mention before we dive into the training further is that if you'd like your LinkedIn profile scored, I have a LinkedIn scorecard that we can do. It's a quick process for us, no cost to you. But for people who are here for the training and watching this training, just go to govconchamber.com/LinkedIn, and maybe somebody can take that and put that in the chat for me. But just go over there, and if you fill out the form, it's like 3 fields. If you fill out the form, we'll take a look at your profile, give you a scorecard and a score back. It might take a couple of days to get back to you, but we'll get it back to you. And by the way, if you happen to go fill that form out while we're talking, tell others in the chat whether you do that, because I'm curious on how that goes. Okay, so let's talk about why you must use LinkedIn daily. I have multiple trainings I've done on LinkedIn for government contractors, so you can go watch them in more depth. But I wanted to just point out 3 reasons as a reminder. First off, pound for pound, it's the most value related to sales and marketing, right? It's always working. I talk about how sales fundamentally is a passive and an active exercise. And the active is like 1% or less of what you can do. And the passive is what everything else that's happening, your DSBS profile, your website, LinkedIn, etc. Those things are all out there passively working for you. You can do things on LinkedIn that rise it way above what your website does. I tell people these days, for government contractors, the website's your least important marketing asset. LinkedIn, DSBS, those are the top. And so LinkedIn, make sure you've got that working or squared away, and it'll always be working for you. The next thing is, remember, and I said this a minute ago, people buy from those they know, like, and trust. You need to make it easy for the buyers to find you. We call this removing the friction. If you put too much friction into finding you, then the buyers will just go somewhere else where there's no friction, right? And so you need to make it easy for a federal buyer or teammates to find you. I had companies I was working with, and they're looking for people to add to their team, and on a $200 million opportunity, they're looking to add people to their team that can do risk management framework. If that's something you do, is that clear on your LinkedIn profile? Is that clear in the content you engage and you share when you're out there, right? That you're a cybersecurity expert. So think about what you sell, and when you're out there on LinkedIn and doing whatever you do, we call it engagement, you're going to help people begin to know you, first off, just who are you, and be aware of you. And then you're also going to help them like and trust your subject matter expertise or your company's subject matter expertise. And the last thing is, and this is a really fun but important line that I like to say, is that people, in particular federal buyers, they don't buy from the best. No one buys the best company that does something. They buy from the best of those who show up. And in the federal market, more than anywhere else, that's it. That's the law. You don't go, wow, we got these 5, they're okay, but that one over there, that's the best one. Let's go buy from them. Nope. If they didn't show up, they're not chosen, right? And so you need to be visible to your buyers, and you need to make sure they can see you. Well, it's the same thing on LinkedIn. People don't add you to their team, or they won't add you to the team because you're the best. They not that you aren't the best, right? But they add you to the team when they're able to find you. And so really what I'm trying to say is make sure you're one of the people they know. All right, so 5 quick tasks, and I'm going to show you this inside of LinkedIn. I'm going to go live into LinkedIn so we can go take a look at it. But these are 5 things I want you to do today that you can knock it out really fast. The first thing is your name. You want to make sure your name just says, John, not Jonathan, but John Smith, right? Even if your parents named you Jonathan, if you go by John, just put John in there. When you say Jonathan, but you go by John, you create an embarrassment to the people who go, oh, I'm calling you something wrong. I feel like I'm on the outside. I don't really know you. You're creating friction between you and the people you want to know. So don't put friction in there. The other thing is nothing should be in your name except for your name. Don't put Dr. So-and-so. Don't put, these other things. And I'm not judging anybody who's doing this because I'm going to show you possibly people who are doing this. What I'm saying is get rid of all that. It's just your name. The purpose of the name is so I know your name. It's not so I know your history. That's the profile. Okay, second thing is have a banner that says something about what you sell. And I'll show you what I mean. But when people show up on your LinkedIn profile, right at the top is a billboard that people pay $100,000 out on 101 in California to advertise to drivers as they come by. But you've got that advertisement and it's blank, right? Or it doesn't really say anything that tells people about you. And I've seen some banners that are just beautiful. I'm like, wow, that's so cool. That's great. I have no idea what you're doing. I'm leaving, right? So I might even screenshot it, but I don't know what you're doing. The banner is a place for you to just instantly stop and say, we help small businesses succeed, something like that. The third one, and I'll show you what I mean. The third one is have a headline. So you got your name, you got your banner, and you got your headline. The headline is right below the name. And in there, you want it to say 3 things fundamentally, right? And typically people just have their job title. You want it to say who you help, how you help them, and the benefit they get. An example is a headline for me, right? I help small business government contractors get indoors, develop relationships, and identify opportunities so they can win more federal contracts. If that resonates with somebody who's looking at my profile, they're going to keep reading my profile. That's what you want. You want whatever you write for a headline to encourage the right people to look at your profile and to contact you. Number 4 is you've got a capability statement, upload it. I'll show you how to do it, but 2-second task and you've increased your visibility. And then the last tip, an easy tip, is figure out the top 5 ways that you want to be contacted or somebody to find you. So an example is I would want people to find me if they're looking for government contracting, right? If somebody says government contracting, I might want to be found for that. That's an example of a keyword or key phrase. Put that into your profile. I'll show you how to do it in a second, but put your top 5. Right now, actually, I would encourage you, could you put into the chat what 5 words or 5 phrases, and don't use any spaces between them. So government contracting, 2 words would be like 1 word, but put that in the chat. Could you put 5 words that you want to be found for? Okay, so let's talk about how people view and judge you using LinkedIn. And there's a lot of different ways. I'm going to try to show you as many as I can in the next 15 minutes. So let's follow me, get out of your chairs. Let's all go outside to LinkedIn. It's important to have a really funny joke inserted right there. And that's what I did. I worked hard on that joke. Okay, so first off, this is a scorecard I was talking about. So go over to govconchamber.com/LinkedIn and you just fill out a couple of fields and we'll send you your LinkedIn score. By the way, you can just click right on this thing if you need to see what your profile is. Oh, one other thing, just letting you know, this training is today, the 14th of November. I think it's Tuesday, right? But we do training every single day, unless for some reason I fall away. And so come in here and check out the training. Here's the training for tomorrow, the next day, and the next day for the rest of the week, plus 370 other trainings we've done recently. Come in here, check them out. But one thing I wanted to point out, because we have almost 100 people on training on different profile or platforms, but right here it says add this event to your calendar. Put that on your calendar. It comes across, it's noon, it locks it on your calendar. You can skip a day or two, that'll be all right, but at least you never miss it because you didn't know, right? If it's on your calendar, you can see it and either watch it live or watch it on the replay. All right, so let's come over here and walk down this path of how people view you. I want to show you multiple ways on how people view you. First thing, just in case I run out of time, let me dive into those 5 tips I told you. And I'm going to use my wife's profile. So let me come over here. So she's a full-time mom, got squared away kids. We homeschool them. So that's where she's at. But she came out of working for like Lockheed and CIA and all this other stuff. But a lot of it was before LinkedIn really even took off. But her profile is perfect because it's empty and she does not pay for anything. And so when I give you a tip, I'm only giving tips for the free version. If you have the advanced versions or the premium versions, you get more functionality. And that's not today. That's in our course. So the first thing I said was a banner, right? Make sure you have a banner. And the way you upload a banner is just right here. You click on this camera and it comes up with a normal upload a banner. The banner, when you click on it, it'll give you guidelines and give you suggestions down here on how you can fill it out. But the banner is, I lost the size. So Gus, if you're in there, put the size in it for me really quick, would you? Into the chat. But I just wanted to show you what mine looks like, because when I'm live, my banner goes away and it shows the video. But right here, this is my banner. It's pretty straightforward from my perspective. When people land on my profile, they can see the Capitol building and they go, oh, it's government something, right? That's what I'm trying to imply with that image. And then over on the right, it's GovCon Success Coaching for Government Contractors. Very simple, minimal amount of words. Some people, they might put in like data analytics, cybersecurity, and cloud migrations or something. Some simple thing that somebody could read in 1 second or less that goes, oh yeah, that's what I was hoping for. It's cybersecurity, elevator maintenance, right? If you're in the elevator business, you might have a picture of an elevator over here. You can build these very quickly in your own computer on using like Paint 3D, or you can go to a place called Fiverr.com and somebody will build it for $25 or less. They'll just do a banner. We don't do that for you because too much time, not enough money. But there's a lot of people who will do it for you. I'm going to come back in a second to the profile. But so the first thing I said was the banner. The second thing is the name. See how the name is straightforward? I'm going to show you a bunch of people who have all sorts of stuff. The next one is the headline. So hers is teaching the young, which is fine. She's actually not trying to get a job or get business. But me, if you look at mine, the way I have it, government contracting is not a secret, it's just a process, right? We help small businesses get in the door. That's where the headline goes right here. And sorry, hold on 1 second. That guy's killing my mouse. Okay, well, I still can't see it, but this area here, you should be able to see it. I don't know why I can't highlight it, but right under my name, you see the headline, and here's how you change it. Just go into the your profile right here, pencil up on the top right. When you come down, you'll see a lot of different information, but right here is a headline. So teaching the young who sometimes don't behave the right way. I mess with my boys. I got 10-year-old sons, so let's see if they watch my video. They should have been nicer to me this morning. Blah, blah, blah. I'm getting rid of that. Okay, so now I've just changed the headline. Took 2 seconds. So you got the name, the banner, the banner, the name, the headline. The next thing I said was upload your capability statement. And what I mean by that is you could put it right in this spot. And I want to show you somebody. Let me see if I can find somebody here. I think Hunter. I wonder if I'll be able to do it. So Hunter's in our community. She does 365. This is Thrive. Check that out. They just launched that new product. But right here we go. So right in the experience section, Hunter has just uploaded her capability statement. So if you want to learn about Bain Group, it does Microsoft 365 services, then you can come in and look at Hunter's profile. If I back up and show you how to do this on your free version if you don't have the paid version. Come on, back up. There. I actually don't know where I'm at. Hold on one second. Okay, so now I'm back at the profile. So the way you make that change is if I come down to the experience section, I can say edit this pencil. The plus sign is to add another experience, but I can hit that. And right here it says homeschool teacher. If I click on edit, got the basic information, right? But if you come to the bottom, I can add media, right? And when you click on add media, it allows you to upload a file. It's really straightforward. I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about how to do it, but just follow the pencil and you'll get to the place you can do that. So just a reminder, we talked about the banner, we talked about the name, and we talked about the headline right here, or the headline. And then we talked about going into the experience section for the pencil and adding your capability statement. And the last thing I want to show you is right here, skills. And this is what I meant by this. So here, if you come into skills, what I want you to do is to put your top 5 skills. Ironically, the skills she has here no longer are her top 5, right? She does a lot more around management of kids and she teaches. So the teaching side of it, she also does a lot on just helping kids on the discipline side and understanding their growth. Those kind of skills she might want to put in here because she likes doing that with other parents. For you, what are your top 5? And the way you do it is just hit that plus sign. Anytime you want to add some skills, you can just come in right like this and add them in. Okay, so let me come back to LinkedIn here. So I showed you how to do it. Hopefully you go back if you want to look at it, but those 5 tasks, you can do them really quick. But let me show you how people see you. And I wanted to use as a first example, I just saw it right here. So here's an example of a post. If you can see it, the Navy SBDC Transition Program Office, they shared a post that I did. And this is a classic example. So first off, I want to make sure that the audience that sees my stuff understands it. But here, this is an organization. They got 6,500 followers, and this is just around Navy SBDC, so the innovation side of the house on the Navy. But if you come down here, this is one way people see you. If they come in, they can come in and see who's liked a particular profile. So the people who look at this might be other people who give it a thumbs up. It might be 6,500 followers. Maybe they don't give it a thumbs up, but they looked at this. They'll look at your profile, and it might be the people working for it. A lot of people, right? So if I come in, you can see my name and my headline. It looks really cool. Jennifer, for example, it's a very clear name, but the headline she has is so specific. She could spread it out because she does all sorts of great work for the community, but it's really clear what she does. Federal government contract consulting. All right, I got that. I got that need. You come down, you see kind of the same thing. People use it a little bit different ways, right? So this person is using the title in there to showcase like the company and where they're at, but they jump into, we're doing customer experience optimization. And here they're showcasing certifications. That's fine if you're trying to attract teammate type businesses. And then right here, business development and strategy. So this is good for tying together that I do this in the DoD space. And look at, they didn't use a sentence, right? But what, and I think he goes by Bob actually, which is funny, but what they do though is pointing out, we do it in the DoD and IC community. Okay, I know where that's at. You're doing business development and you're doing it in the IT space. So DevOps and cybersecurity, right? That's a fairly clear one. And so when you're coming down, you just want to track on it. This one here, again, I'm not picking on anybody. All this is public stuff. I'm just pointing it out. Right here, when it says somebody's name and then all this extra stuff, I highly recommend you get rid of the other stuff because the reality is if you're in the Air Force, it says it up on top. If you're looking for business or you're looking for a job, then you really, like leaving PMP up there right now next to your name is fine if you're looking for a job. But when you're in the role and you're doing jobs, et cetera, then you want to begin to get rid of some of that. Let me show you a different way that people will find this information. So that's just if we happen to look at information. Let me go back to my, this one here, and I want to find something that has a lot of comments. Oh, this is interesting. Watch this. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this, but today's the live itself, hopefully I can turn the volume on. There you go. So we're all live in here right now. If you don't know this, you can go over to the right-hand side, and this is like LinkedIn within LinkedIn within LinkedIn. But over here, you've got networking. You have this ability to look at people and see what they're doing, right? Here's a contract closeout specialist. So these are my connections, but I can also see, who else is in here. I can decide if I want to connect with them, right? Really quickly, I can say, oh, I'm not connected with this person. For me, it would make sense to hit connect because they're in my world. They know who I am. They'll probably accept my connection. For you, you might want to reach out. But if they're in training, by the way, if you're in the chat, let us know. But as you come down, and if I expand like just these 5 for 1 second, I begin to look at where people are at, right? This one, CEO at GD Resources, it's acquisition something, right? And so just for the fun of it, let me go click on somebody. Acquisition SME. Okay, that's an interesting thing, right? A lot of people sometimes put personal stuff in. That's fine. My point is make sure you're saying what you sell as well. And so, but the fact that she put acquisition SME in here, it allows me to be able to go, oh, well, I know another business who is an 8A firm, not an SDVO, who's in the acquisition support. I might make an introduction. In fact, if this person reaches out to me and says, Neil, can you make that introduction? I will make that introduction today or tomorrow. But I was able to quickly identify what they do. You could expand upon this and you get more market and traction. Let me show you one last way that people look at it. And this is a really important one to pay attention to. So if you look right here, I got, in the last 90 days, I got 3,538 profile views, right? Some of those views are the same people who might come back, but many of them are new people as well. So if I come in here, one of the filters that I wish they had was connection. So I could only look at the people who were second connections, but it doesn't matter even on that. If you come down, you can start seeing who's looking at your profile, right? A lot of the people looking at my profile are here on the training. These are, a lot of great people. By the way, one thing I would mention just softly, LinkedIn profiles are for people. When I see something that's a company name, but it's on a profile, I don't even accept a connection. I'll accept connections with anybody in the federal space as long as it's a name, like a person. Companies have their own page. So just kind of keep that separate. Here's the first person who shows up in training, Devin, every single day. Rush would show up earlier, but it's like 5 a.m. or something out there. So you can see a lot of people in here, right? Here's Tim helping DoD customers focus on the mission and make strategic decisions using a scalable framework, integrating data science, business architecture, system engineering. I mean, that's a pretty huge one that's in there. It taps in, and he's using keywords. Remember I said keywords. He didn't just probably put them in the skills. He's got them woven into his headline, which is awesome. But anyway, so as I'm coming down, this is what I'll look at. I'll look and I'll go, like this person, Javier, they engaged some of my content, and then they looked at my profile. And I can see here, they're a partnership management or manager. And actually, I am going to connect with them by just hitting connect because he engaged with several stuff. So I don't have to write a personal note. Usually you want to write a personal note unless you feel like they saw you. But this is what I mean, right? You come down and you start seeing who's in here and how we first judge you. We judge you by your name, and then we judge you by trademark logistics, government contracting and subcontracting, freight arrangement, transportation, warehousing. In that logistics world, I get it. Makes sense, right? And so these are just brief ways of how people are viewing you and judging you. And so you want to make sure you do those 5 tips. Here's what I want you to remember. First off, social selling, it's not a fad, it's a process. It's here to stay. It is the way we sell. Yes, you're going to meet people in person, but that's going to be more occasionally, right? I would say it's an 80-20. 80% is going to be virtual. Your customers are learning about you from your website. Now they're learning about you from your LinkedIn profile and your activity, because that's where they start seeing what you're doing, and they're learning more, and they're learning what you think is important. So when you engage others on LinkedIn around what you sell, your customers are benefiting. So social selling, it's not a fad, it's a process that you want to really hone. Remember that LinkedIn is making that first impression for you all the time. So go do those 5 tasks that I said, and you'll see immediate change. By the way, when you're done, go remember to go to the website, govconchamber.com/LinkedIn, and we'll do the LinkedIn scorecard for you. And for everybody, if you're in this space doing $1 million or $2 million or more, and you're looking for a company that can help you get indoors, develop relationships, and identify opportunities that are going to allow you to win more federal contracts, check us out on govconchamber.com. Happy to help you when you hit a right stage. Otherwise, keep coming back to the training. And remember, government contracting, it's not a secret. It's just a process. I'll see you in the next training.